Welcome back to the Restaurant Incubator, where it's my mission to help you save time and money opening your restaurant project. My name is Brandon Sharp. I'm a 7-time Michelin star winner. I own 3 restaurants here in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. We're sitting in the private dining room of Bluebird, our French brasserie right now. The guest on today's program is Charlie Farris. So Charlie's a buddy of mine. He owns several Jersey Mike's sandwich shops around town, and he also owns a local chain called Al's Burger Shack. So he's the first franchisee we've talked to so far on the program. So we're going to hear about the perks and the pitfalls of being a franchise owner. Hope you enjoyed today's episode with Charlie Farris. All right, we're back with the Restaurant Incubator. Today we've got Charlie Farris on the show. Charlie, tell us who you are. Tell us what you do.
So I'm Charlie Farris. Grew up in Wilson, North Carolina. Went to UNC in 2000 and graduated in 2004. And just pretty much stayed in the area. So married my high school sweetheart, who's also a UNC grad, Rebecca Farris. And we lived in Durham and now Chapel Hill. We live in Chapel Hill now. And in 2009, we bought a Jersey Mike's Subs on Elliott Road in Chapel Hill, and partnered with my brother-in-law, Rebecca's brother, Clint. He's one of my business partners, and we've since opened 16 additional Jersey Mike's. So we're number 17 on the J Mike's now, and then we bought Al's Burger Shack at the end of 2022. Mm-hmm. So now 2.5 years with Al's, and we've opened a 3rd location and have a 4th location under construction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So, well, you were the first franchisee we've had on the podcast, so I know nothing about the franchise world. Uh-huh. I know when I talk to my lawyers about it, they go like this. But what are the perks and the pitfalls of being a franchisee?
Sure. So starting out, I thought about how to answer this question. I think going back to the beginning. So initially, I didn't know I wanted to own a restaurant, but I had kind of a merchant mentality. Uh-huh. My grandfather owned like a country store in Lucama, North Carolina, just selling vegetables and like a little mini Harris Teeter or whatever. So I always had that bug. I was like the kid that did the lemonade stands and sold pints of blueberries.
Entrepreneurial spirit.
I just wanted to sell something. Right. Like, how do I get money? Which is fun because I definitely see that in my 3rd boy, Theo. Mm-hmm. He's like, Dad, how can I get money today? Right. That's what he actually said. How can I get money? I'm like, oh, you got to sell something? Provide a service?
My sons are into sneaker triage.
Sure.
Buy sneakers on one site, sell them on another.
I love it.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
I was very much a merchant, and then the food came a little later in the restaurant side. And my first job ever was at Dick's Hot Dog Stand in Wilson. Okay. Which is burgers, dogs. Been there since 1921. It's on its 4th generation now. So I think I really kind of cut my teeth in the restaurant industry there for a few years, both serving and grilling. Mm-hmm. And then after college, worked at a couple of nicer restaurants, Glenwood Grill on Glenwood Avenue in Oberlin. So I got kind of the finer dining, plating of food, and cleaning the edges of the plates.
And you worked in the kitchen there?
I was a server. Okay. I was a server that host and server. And but then after about a year, I actually had some conversations with the owner about potentially buying out his partners because he was the general manager. But then thankfully I got to look at the books and decided, I was like, I don't know if there's enough money here for both of us. Right. So anyway, I went from there to Smithfield's Chicken and Barbecue, which is again another kind of quick service with the intention of potentially opening one of those. Mm-hmm. And that one burned me out. That one was a 70 to 80 hour a week GM. Smokes. It was insane.
So you were the GM, not a partner?
No, just a GM kind of trying to earn a franchise. They didn't really franchise, but I had discussions with the owner, and he was like, I'll partner with you on a store or do a franchise type model. But that one just cooked me. That was crazy. Yeah. I was working 6 days a week. I would go in to open at 7 a.m. and wouldn't leave till 9 p.m. every day. Barbecue. Mm-hmm. But it was their busiest location in Zebulon. So that kind of burned me out of the restaurant and said, maybe this isn't for me. It was kind of a decision between Smithfield's Chicken Barbecue and Rebecca, and I chose Rebecca, and I was like, all right, I'm quitting. I'm going to find a normal job, 9 to 5. And then I went and providentially started selling financial analysis software. It's like P&L analysis. And selling to CPAs and banks, community banks. This P&L analysis, you'd plug all the numbers from a P&L of a business, and it would spit out all the key
KPIs metrics. Or something.
All the KPIs.
And did you have a finance background or fiduciary background?
No. I was just in sales there, but I was selling the product, so I had to learn pretty quickly about P&Ls. which in retrospect was huge.
What a great crash course.
It was huge, right? Because that was
Amazing.
kind of the last piece of the puzzle, right? I'd worked kind of the quick service, burgers, dogs, worked a grill, short order cook, server, somewhat management, but not really getting into the numbers. And then I got the P&L analysis with that sales position. So the last 6 months there, though, the itch came back, as I'm sure you have. You know, all us restaurateurs have that itch. And I was like, I've got to get back in. So I started exploring, and to your question, why franchise or what about franchise? And I just looked at the numbers, and they just succeed at a much higher rate. You know, franchises succeed like a 90% rate, and independents are like 10 or 20 after 5 years. I mean, it's really low.
10 or 20, those are rookie numbers. We got to pump those up, right?
Exactly. There's a lot of things, a lot of things can go wrong, Brad. As you know.
Man. Yeah.
Yeah. So
no kidding.
So a lot of times it's cash flow, right? Like a good chunk of them just they underestimate how much cash they need to get through the first 6 months.
Yeah.
12 months. Right?
Yep.
And if you're really behind after 12 months, and it's kind of a losing endeavor. But after 5 years, I can't remember what the number was. But anyway, it was like that. It was like 90 success and 10 or 20, maybe 20% success in year 5.
It's a very convincing.
That's kind of convincing. All right. So what franchise? Looked at Chick-fil-A. What do I like to eat? I go to Chick-fil-A. I looked at Bojangles. I looked at the melting pot, the fondue, because I just really enjoyed that experience. Jason's Deli. Then I found a Jersey Mike's for sale. So I started looking on Biz Buy Sell, which is it's a business broker website. Okay. So for those looking, I want to own my own business. I don't know what it is. Biz Buy Sell, B-I-Z.
You can filter by food or QSR or whatever. Huh?
HVAC companies. I mean, it's just businesses for sale.
Biz Buy Sell.
Biz Buy Sell. And I'm just tooling through there while I'm sitting at my sales job in Raleigh, and came across a Jersey Mike's for sale in Charleston. And that kind of fell through. I negotiated that one for a while, but so that's what got me on the Jersey Mike's brand. I found this one for sale in Charleston, started learning about the brand, got really excited about the brand. And then that owner and I just couldn't come to terms. So I was kind of bummed. I was really excited about this. This was going to be a move to Charleston. It was going to be a big change. And then the next week, I'm looking on Biz Buy Sell, and there's the Jersey Mike's for sale in Chapel Hill on Elliott Road. Like the next week, it was unbelievable for a quarter of the price, by the way.
Wow.
The one in Charleston was like $250,000 or something, and we wound up buying the one on Elliott Road for $60,000. So we bought it for $60,000, put like it needed a retrofit, so put $120,000 into it. So we got in turnkey like $180,000, which is great.
Yeah.
So that was like my starter restaurant. So
so when you are buying a franchise, do you have to? So is there a franchise fee, and then do you have to show like I also have this much in the bank?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you've got to show X amount of net worth and liquidity. Okay. They have certain liquidity and net worth requirements, all of them, and they vary.
Pretty complicated, like almost like a loan application, like that sort of complexity to it.
Yeah. Maybe it's like a one or two pager, but you do have to prove like X amount of liquid assets. Okay. For that, that what I mentioned, so many restaurants fail; they just don't have the cash to get through the early days. So I guess. I mean, back to your original question, that's step one. Like they won't give you the franchise if they don't think you're going to make it. Right. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people will tell you, go open a restaurant, you can do it. Like you only need, people just don't know how much money it takes, to even to get the inventory and to get through those early months. But most franchises won't even grant you the franchise unless they think you can make it, because they don't want you to fail. Right.
And that skews that success metric, right? Yes. Because there's a certain threshold you have to get. Okay.
That's right.
So, but also on the other end, like if you have a franchise that, and let's say for reasons out of your control, business goes south, is there any sort of built-in safety net from the franchisor? Because they don't want the perception of their outlet failing in this location. Right. Do they have any, any sort of safety net or anything?
In practice, in my experience, Jersey Mike's has been a great franchisor for that reason. Like if someone's struggling, if a location isn't doing what they thought it would do, and they see that the franchisee is doing all the things that they should be doing, then they'll give them relief from marketing fees or things like that, or they'll send support. They'll send people to go and retrain the staff and send corporate staff. So they definitely send people to train your staff. And but if it's just not going well and no one can really tell why, in practice they'll give you some relief from those things. But by the letter of the franchise agreement, they don't have to. They can take it over if you don't. They can buy it from you and run it themselves. There's things like that.
And so does Jersey Mike's have corporate stores and franchise stores? Or
They
is it
do,
all? Okay.
but not a lot. Maybe I think these days maybe like 50 corporate stores out of over 3,000. I think we're at like 3,100 locations now. So whatever that is, 5%. So.
And the marketing fee, is that a percentage of revenue, or is it a flat fee, or is it part of a larger fee structure?
So yeah, the franchise fee is that initial fee,
So
and
that's a one-time,
and it's like $8,500.
Okay.
It's not. I mean,
Wow, that's nominal in
yeah,
the scheme of things. Yeah.
But the real fee is the royalties.
Okay.
So we pay at Jersey Mike's, we pay 6.5% as a royalty, and then 5% as a marketing fund.
Okay.
Into a marketing fund, and it's simple like that. It used to be broken down into smaller puzzles, but now it's just a 5% goes into the same pot. Pays for Danny DeVito on ESPN.
Right. Yeah.
The big stuff, everything you see on TV.
Okay.
But that's the only. I mean, that's 11.5% off the top every week, whether you make money or not.
Right.
It's going off the top.
Okay. It's a big nut off the top.
It is. Yeah.
So now with so you took over Al's Burger Shack. Al's Burgers, right? Not Al's Burger Shack.
Al's Burger Shack.
Al's Burger Shack. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
That's right.
And so now, I mean, are you looking to be in a franchisor position eventually with that?
Potentially.
Okay.
Yeah, we're looking at every option. Right now, we're just doing it ourselves. We want to make sure that the model works in other markets. So we've opened a store in Leland, North Carolina, down the coast. One of my other business partners has some Jersey Mike's down there.
Okay.
And so we wanted to get something open in his market, train his people, and so they could learn the operation. So we don't know. We don't know if we want to franchise it or maintain control. So we may do a 50-50 partnership type situation instead. We just haven't decided.
Okay.
I'm not sure which direction it's going to go.
Well, with, when I moved back here in 2016, 2017, Al's Burgers everywhere. So it has a great local name, great local following. You got a great logo, Al's Burger Shack on your shirt right there. So I think one thing that independent restaurants struggle with is branding and marketing and awareness. So what have you learned from Jersey Mike's and seeing what that 5% goes into that you now apply to your own brand?
Absolutely. I think the biggest lesson we've learned at Jersey Mike's and that Peter, the CEO, always pushed is there are these 7 principles, and I won't go through all 7, but basically the first 6 principles are operational. Like make sure the restaurant's clean, make sure you're making things with proper procedures, or the staff like presentable and friendly. You hit those 6, and then you go out and invite people in. And so we'll go out with coupons for free subs, for free burgers now, and just invite people in. Once we know the operations are tight, then we'll go out and just invite people in. And that's been the most effective marketing we can do. And they always go back to that, the home office, the Jersey Mike's home office. It's like, go out and invite people in and give it away.
Wow.
Give the food away. If it's a good product, give it away, and then they'll come back for more. So
They'll come back asking to pay for it.
Yeah. So we'll go out with free. That's the plan. And we're going to follow that model with Al's as well. Just go out with free burger coupons. Nobody's going to turn down a free burger. And when we can partner with a charity, it's even better. So I'll go and say, hey, come in, you make a $3 donation to the local high school, and you get a free burger, and then the money goes to the school. So we try to do that as much as possible. And
y'all do a lot of that. There's a lot of local outreach and local charity promotions that I see you doing for, I think, mostly schools for Jersey Mike's.
Yeah.
Is there first of all, how do you handle that on the books, and is there a corporate sort of compensation for that at all, or does that just fall on you?
Most of the time, there's no reimbursement from corporate. Sometimes they'll send coupons and say, hey, get these coupons out and you'll get $3 back per redemption or something like that. They do some things to encourage that, but we do it just constantly. Right. It's just it's always been a big part of my personal philosophy, and that it just goes well with Jersey Mike's. It's definitely a core principle of Jersey Mike's, giving back. So, it's I think Peter, the CEO of Jersey Mike's, he's just spent the last 20 years just trying to give away things as fast as he can, and it's obviously poured back tenfold. So
no kidding. Well, I've been to at least 4 of your stores between Al's and Jersey Mike's, and every time the service is fantastic, and the staff is so friendly. So how do you you obviously hire for that? So how do you try and isolate that quality with candidates in interviews?
Yeah. Well, when I talk to my managers, I tell them, I'm like, that's the only thing that matters. That's the only thing. I mean,
Okay.
you can check all the other boxes, but if you're kind of a jerk, we're not going to hire you. It's not going to happen. And you can have none of the other boxes be really friendly. If you just stand there and smile,
Uh-huh.
I think I can train you on everything else.
Yeah.
You can work the register, you can wipe down the lobby, but if you naturally, or if you're smiling, you're easy to get along with. And I tell them too, I'm like, look, hire people that you're like, hey, I like this person. I would like to spend time with this person. I would enjoy training this person. If it's somebody you don't even, if you don't, you do need to like them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hire people you like.
Yeah.
Hire
You're
like.
be spending a lot of time with them.
You spend a lot of time with them, and you're going to want to make them better. And I think the other one is we try to just ask questions like to see if they're receptive to feedback. Like, we ask about things like, when was a time that you realized you were wrong,
Mm-hmm.
and you thought you were dead right, and then you realized you were wrong.
And they say, I'm still waiting for that day to come, right?
Exactly, yeah. Or what are your weaknesses? And if they're like, I don't have any weaknesses, I'm like, yeah, that's not going to work out. So, but personality, yeah, say just hire personality. We can train everything else.
Okay.
Train everything else in the restaurant. We'd almost prefer to,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times. And I'm sure you've seen that. It's harder to change bad habits than to
then
train
create good ones.
the good ones. Yeah.
No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
If you want to be sitting where Charlie Farris is sitting someday, owning multiple outlets, completely in charge of your business destiny, but you're having a little bit of trouble getting your first project off the ground, I've got the full suite of business templates built for you. The year one operating budget, the 5-year pro forma, the critical path countdown to opening day, the pre-opening budget, and the business plan. They are all part of the Restaurant Launchpad. Click the link in the show notes for more. There's something there that you can use. Back to the show. Well, I think you mentioned a couple different partners so far.
Mm-hmm.
So with the different companies, is there one organizational structure? Are there several? Are you, not that titles are important to you, maybe they are, but are you CEO of one or many? Like,
I'm basically the president of all of them, and I'm about 50% owner of all of them. Okay. They all vary a little. So Clint and I, my brother-in-law, we're 50-50 on the first location. On the second location, I'm 50, he's 25, and the operator, Brendan Turk, is 25. And then when we opened the third one, we went, I think on that one now, because we have a cousin that's operating that one, I'm 44, Clint's 20, Turk's 20, and Josh is 16.
Yeah.
So it's like that. And we did that for everyone for a while. And then we started opening so quickly, I couldn't just give away ownership to anybody. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So we tidied it up. So now there are 8 shareholders on the Jersey Mike's. There are 8 partners. They're all operators. They're all probably making subs or training someone how to make a sub today, or doing a delivery or something like that.
Right.
So yeah, in the organization, if there was a structure, I'd kind of be at the top, doing mostly just culture stuff, development. We have a weekly huddle where we get all the GMs on a Zoom call, and I'll just have kind of a message of the week. We'll go over everyone's numbers for the prior week, look at sales and labor and COGS for each location and their year-to-date numbers, and just point out any outliers, positive or negative. And it's been really effective, and the managers like it too, just to see where they stand. And it's like every week, I'm gonna see if I can get to that number 3 spot. I was in the number 5 spot last week. That
competition.
Yeah, you're getting some competition. So it's kind of me there, and then there are 4 district managers who are all owner operators, and they're overseeing between 3 and 5 stores each. Okay, yeah, that's kind of how that works.
And on the outside, similar.
It's pretty similar, yeah. We didn't bring everyone over to the outside because I don't want to roll in with like 8 owners. So, but the plan is to keep people, use the same people here to grow out as it grows. Okay. So on the outside, it's me and my partner in Wilmington, and then Clint, my brother-in-law, and 2 of our other operators here that are involved in Al's. So I've moved some guys over to the ops side on Al's. Okay. Yeah.
And does the culture, at least the internal culture and the way you expect employees to treat each other, does it mirror? Does Jersey Mike's mirror Al's, or have you created the culture at Al's to mirror what existed at Jersey Mike's?
I was very pleasantly surprised about how good the culture was at Al's when we took over. I was. Everybody, some of the people, Claudia and Betty at Franklin Street, have been there since 2013. They've been one of them 12 years. So when we came in, it was, we knew it was going to be a shock and a change. So we made sure that we made everybody happy. Everybody got a raise like immediately. We gave you raises, and we changed the payroll date. So they got paid like 3 times in 3 weeks or something
Yeah.
like that. So everybody, we try to do things like that and let them know that. I remember the initial meeting. I was like, "Look, these aren't my customers yet. They're your customers. This is your restaurant still, and make them feel valued." As we came in and took over, because it was a big change for everybody. But I've been very, very pleasantly surprised. It's great. I mean, really good culture there too. The people care about each other. The employees care about each other. Al did a good job of giving back to the community too.
Yeah.
So the same number of requests coming in for Jersey Mike's are coming in on the outside, and it's like, hey, Al did this last year for us. Would you mind? Absolutely. Okay. So kept that rolling. So yeah, I've been really happy. We had a lot of the shared. I mean, it's great food, great service, giving back to the community. It's very similar there when we took over. So it was a nice surprise. Yeah.
So we at our restaurants, we focus our charitable giving on local children. That's that's what we try to focus on. Do you have a certain focus, or is it just you just take it as it comes when it comes to donation requests and things like that?
We take it as it comes, but definitely if there's a focus, it would be the same. It would be the kids in the community, heavy on the schools, always giving back to the schools and the teachers who are taking care of our kids every day. That's a tough job and a thankless job. So whether it's food, I mean, we're in a nice position to be able to give away food or money or gift cards and that kind of thing. So there's different ways. So we always try to. Clint and I decided, because it was difficult early on, especially when we weren't making money early on. It was like, well, which ones do we do and which ones don't we do? And we kind of decided we're going to say yes to everyone. Okay. But sometimes it might not be exactly what they wanted, right? I can't give away 100 sandwiches, but I'll give you 50 coupons, right? Free sub coupons to give away, or I'll give you some gift cards for their raffle or something like that. So we said, all right, it's always yes, and then we figure out what we can do.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's great. Isn't that Ritz-Carlton hospitality?
Sure.
Don't find alternatives to no.
Yes. Yeah. So. There you go. That's right. Yeah. Rarely, I can't remember ever saying no. The only no's might be like more like a marketing. Do you want a banner and sometimes I don't see a lot of value in that. So I can't do that, but I'll feed the team.
You want the logo in left center field.
Yeah. And I'm like, but how about we provide a post-game meal for the team sometimes. So
cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this question might be splitting hairs a little bit, but you sell products that, I mean, people have had thousands of sandwiches, people have had thousands of burgers, and you are not, your pricing is not rock bottom. So I don't think of, in one sense, I don't think of Jersey Mike's sandwiches and Al's burgers as commodities in the sense that I'm going to go buy the cheapest one.
Right.
But it must be hard to differentiate those products in the marketplace because so many people sell the same thing.
Sure.
So how do you, especially on the Al side where you have control of marketing and branding, how do you think of that?
Yeah. We talk about it all the time. We're talking about it constantly. Like Jersey Mike's has figured it out. Like it's the fresh slice, fresh grills. Nobody's slicing sandwiches to order besides like Tony's in New Jersey. You know what I mean? They're not slicing them to order. So we have that unique kind of hook for Jersey Mike's. We're slicing the cold subs to order. We're grilling cheesesteaks to order. And we've nailed that. And we've kind of, I mean, it's truly, it's fresh bread, fresh produce, fresh meat and cheese. It's not rocket science,
right?
But nobody else is doing it because it's hard to do. It's hard to get right. Yeah. On the outside, we talk about all the time, like, what is it? What makes us different? Like, we know it's good, and it's funny because when we took over, the tagline for Al's is "Good is good, y'all." I mean, that's kind of a silly thing, but the more we do it, we're like, it's kind of right. It's just good. It's a buttered toasted potato roll. It's a burger seasoned well and cooked to order. It's homemade sauces like roasted garlic aioli. But what we're trying to figure out is to boil that down to fresh slice, fresh grilled, like we've got at Jersey Mike's. Can we got to boil it down to 2 sentences, and we haven't quite gotten there yet. Yeah, like I know why it's good.
It's tough to make it pithy.
So that's what we're working on. Like, what does make us different, especially at Al's, like you said, because there's burgers, galore. And then I'm like, well, it's just good. Yeah, it's just good. Good is good.
Well, there's a lot of good regional branding and PR and marketing agencies like that. And so do y'all work with any of the, it's one of the things, like, I think it's such a fun creative outlet. I love doing it. I'm not that great at it, but it means I can just leave the operation alone and not go tinkering with things that shouldn't be tinkered with, but I can expend plenty of creative energy on stuff that is not going to negatively affect the operation of the guest experience. So I can start thinking about different marketing ideas. Do y'all do everything internally?
We have a marketing firm in Wilmington that helped launch in the Leland, the new store. So they're doing that. And we're close to, I don't know if we're going to switch or just take on like the Daily Tar Heel. They have like it's called 1893 Brand Studio. And it's like a marketing agency that's run by students.
Yeah.
We were ready to jump on board with them, but then like the head of it is leaving for another job, and I'm not really sure who's in charge right now. And that's my one concern about it. I love the idea of like students coming up with ideas and new ideas, and they're constantly going to roll over and turn over. So it should always be fresh, and like, you know, that's from targeting. There's 40,000 students up there. Undergrad and grad students. So I like that idea of constant fresh ideas, and then potentially like maybe hiring one, like if we find a good one, hire them and bring them on,
poach them
as we continue to grow, poach them, or not even poach them. They're graduating, probably looking for a marketing job. And so I like that idea.
We work with Sprout House Marketing, and so they are based in Charleston, but they're also in Raleigh and in Nashville, and so they have a great purview of what's going on in the South. You know, and it's the first time that I've really considered you know, having influencers and now like influencers, they don't just want the free meal, like they want to be paid and stuff. And so we have, you know, there's backlash internally about spending that money. And I get it, but I think that's where things are going, you know, and it feels like, you know, you get what you pay for with that. So, so we'll see.
Right. There's a lot of ways to spend money on marketing for sure.
No kidding.
It seems like a bottomless pit. So yeah, I'm hopeful that we'll figure that out and get it tried, because they did come up with some fresh, fun ideas and youthful ideas, and I don't know, like what does get a student in, you know, for a profitable meal too, because I'm not gonna, you know, when I was a student, I like ate at the Rat every Monday night because it was $7 for a place, unlimited spaghetti.
Like, where can I get the most calories?
Exactly. Yeah. You know, do you want that customer? I don't think you do.
I don't know. I heard. I think Paula from Purple Bowl said the other day that since they moved down there, they're getting, you know, the same students that they used to, but also more families down there. So they're right down there near y'all, right?
Yeah. That's been great. I love having Purple Bowl there, and that is a big thing on Franklin.
It's a great complimentary.
That and IP3 next door and us and Purple Bowl, and you can park.
Yeah,
you can park.
That's a big deal
at that end. Yeah, you know, it's harder.
It's harder at the Proximo end.
It is. But
hey, there's 2 parking decks right there.
No. People do not want to go on a parking deck.
No, they don't. Well, speaking of location, when you are looking for, like, Leland is not a place that I would have thought of.
Sure.
The only thing I know about Leland is that's where Steve Strauss's Steve's Brunswick Seafood is, and that's where we buy a lot of our wholesale seafood. So when you are looking for new locations, what are some things that you look for?
Sure. For what we're doing, parking's maybe the biggest one, because people will valet to go to Proximo or Hawthorne, I think, if they needed to, but to run in and get a burger or a sub, you got to have parking. And we've learned time and again, like ease of access and parking are really 2 of the biggest ones when I'm looking location. And we've learned it the hard way a couple of times. So we moved Elliott Road.
Right, I was going to say, it's not you moved. Is that the one you moved to Eastgate?
Over to Eastgate.
Okay.
Right. And it may do similar numbers this year. Maybe just a flat year for that store, but it is a pain in the butt to get in there and get a sandwich. And it's really easy at Elliott Road. And I'm walking over there, and I'm like, man, this shopping center is so busy all the time.
Why is Eastgate so mean?
Wow. We need to move over here. We're going to be huge numbers, and we're not. It's not one of our best stores.
Interesting.
It's really tricky. It's tough. Yeah. They do a ton of third party and a ton of catering. It's an older store, so they've got all these relationships. So it's fine, but we could do that out of any location.
Yeah, but with Starbucks, Brugger, Shake Shack, Chipotle, Trader Joe's, I mean, holy smokes! And now a second supermarket.
Aldi in there now. It's really, really hard. I don't visit that store at all, almost at all. Yeah. It's not under my umbrella necessarily of responsibilities anymore. It's Clint's, but he'll say the same thing. It's like, I hate going to Eastgate. It's just so hard to get in and out. We both drive trucks.
Yeah.
You're like, it's tough. So parking's a big one. And it's not always like, we're learning, like, it's not always the busiest shopping center you want to be in. You want to be in the one that people can pull in, park, jump out, get their subs, and head back home. But I do think, but beyond that, we do have some tools. Jersey Mike's does provide some tools for they're like I think they use cell phone data, and it's like heat maps.
Okay.
So the heat maps of where people are at any point in the day. But again, you go back and you're like, well, if you can't park there, you can't rent it out, then they're not
same problem.
Yeah. So probably our best visibility store is on 15501 going north on Durham. It's up there on the hill.
Okay.
But it's really hard to get in and out of. You got to turn right, then left, and left. And then by the time you get into the center, you passed like 7 other pretty good brands. You've passed like Moe's and Five Guys and Chipotle and the PDQ was there. It's going Blaze Pizza. There's all these. And I'm like, they've got to pass 7 restaurants to get all the way up there to the top of that hill. And so while we've got great visibility and we do have parking there, ease of access is the issue there. That's our slowest store.
Well, what about foot traffic? Are you looking at any, like, I think of like downtown Wilmington where, there's not good parking, but there's a ton of people that are just on foot and, down by the river or anything like that. Yeah.
Downtowns are tricky because I think at night it slows down. So you'll get really busy during the day. But not as busy. And every downtown's different. I guess some downtowns are busy at night.
But yes, if it's a financial district, then it just clears out.
Yeah. And that is it's certainly for Al. So we're probably 60-40 dinner to lunch at Al's and 60-40 lunch to dinner at Jersey Mike's. So they kind of offset each other a little, but we need both. It can take a good Jersey Mike's to a great Jersey Mike's. That's the best Jersey Mike's have a really good dinner business. My busiest ones have a really good dinner business. I think a lot of people think of it as lunch. You think of a sub as a lunch, not so much a dinner. But so the right mix, I think, of commercial and residential and just either foot traffic or driving traffic. When you're looking for location.
And is there a consistent percentage overall for people who do takeout versus dine in or order ahead versus come in? I'm sure you track those metrics.
We do, and it's really close to 50-50 now.
Oh, really?
Really close at both Al's and Jersey Mike's. But with the third parties, we're doing, 20% third party delivery stuff, and then maybe 20% online orders, and then 10% either walk in, like to go or traditional call in. But it's about half and half dine in versus takeaway.
Okay.
For both brands.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, who do you, and it can be kind of a, when I follow other chefs or whoever it is on Instagram or online, it can be kind of an echo chamber, and you'll see people start, kind of talking about the same things. But when you look outside the restaurant world to like the larger business world, who do you look for inspiration or ideas or, what sort of things do you take influence from?
I'm constantly looking for inspiration. I listen to a lot of biographies and management books, and I get quotes every morning in my inbox, and just trying to look for sparks, right? Looking for ideas and sparks to inspire the staff and keep them motivated and share with other friends. I have peer groups, Jersey Mike's peer groups. So we've got a peer group of 11 franchisees that are around the country: California, Utah, North Carolina, Virginia, Florida, New Jersey, and New York and Pennsylvania. And we're constantly talking. So, we're texting every single day and become great friends. It's been about 5 years now, and we go on an annual retreat and get together in person. And then we have the multi-unit Jersey Mike's retreat. So we'll see each other 3 or 4 times a year at conferences, and we do our own retreat, but lean into them a lot. That's huge. Being able to talk to somebody in the industry in a similar, dealing with the same problems. And that's everything from facilities, like how much do you pay in repair and maintenance every year? And looking at that line item, how do we get that down?
Insurance is getting tough. Man.
Insurance, all those things. But for inspiration, I listened to the Elon Musk biography before he went off the deep end, or he got so divisive.
What was the end date on the biography? When does it end? The story does it end? Yeah,
maybe 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, it was really recent, but it was before he got into the
government.
Yeah, the government stuff. So, but he's a nut, but a genius. And talk about trying to get some off the wall ideas.
I was driving here the other day. Bruce Springsteen is on, and he's saying, "Poor man wants to be rich. Rich man wants to be king. King ain't satisfied till he rules everything." And it seems to me like maybe the rich men get rich until they need to change policy and become kings. I was like, I guess that's probably happened a million times through history, but maybe you've seen that in your biographies.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I'll ever get to that. I don't think I'll ever get to worry about changing policy just so I can enrich myself.
No, definitely, definitely not.
Not selling French food anyway.
Right. So the franchise thing. I mean, you brought me here for the franchise thing.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions you have about that? I mean, so I'll go through like if you want to get a Jersey Mike's, you put in an application.
Uh-huh.
You got to show your net worth and your liquidity. You pay the $8,500 franchise fee, and then there's another like $5,000 construction for the architect. They do the design, they do the layout of the restaurant for you.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of things like that. I mean, there's a tremendous value in doing it. If you've never done it, if you've never done it, it's huge.
You save a lot of money yeah.
You do, yeah. And they provide they provide all your training charts. You get a booklet that's 300 pages, operations manual. It's all laid out, the marketing's done. We're talking about this market. What works? Like, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
It's done for you. They tell you how to price your products. I've always said one of my biggest, I meant to mention this. I mean, I look at restaurants and I think, the pillars are you got to have great food, got to have great service, and you got to know your numbers. Because otherwise, I mean, you got the first two, but you're not making any money.
Right.
What are we doing here?
Yeah.
You're working for the landlord.
That's the point. Yeah.
You're working for the landlord. You're working for the food provider. You're working for the employees. You ain't working for yourself. So you got to know the numbers. So they teach you that stuff. So the training program is you got to go work in a store for 360 hours, which is 8 45-hour weeks. So you work 4 weeks in a store learning ops. You go to New Jersey for a week and have a week of management training and leadership training, and then another 4 weeks in the store, and then you can open your store. And 2 people have to go through that.
Wow.
Minimum. So that's another.
At each store.
Yeah.
Okay.
Amazing. And that's the thing. That's why it gets much easier. And that's why I went from one store. So it was one store in 2009, second store 2014, third store 2016, and now we're at 17 stores. So in
pace accelerated.
7 years, we went from 3 to 17.
Yeah.
But because once you get there, you've got the hours. You can do the hours in your store.
I was going to say, you can train them in your own stores. Yeah.
Exactly. So then it's like, now it's just this, I'm managing, or the GMs even are managing, like, who's the next man up? Who's the next man up? Where's our best talent? We got a new store coming. So then I'm like, hey guys, got a new store coming to Durham. We found the site, negotiating the lease.
Who's on the bench?
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Who's on the bench? And it gets so much easier when you got 15 benches to pull from. So
awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, the tools that they provide me are huge. Like, that's the thing. I could do it now. I could start my own concept now. But in 2009, no chance. I would have blown it for sure. I would have forgotten one of the pieces of the puzzle.
Right.
I might not have priced my products correctly. I think we're all sensitive. Like, we're probably more sensitive than the customers are to, like, we don't want to raise prices, though. Everybody will freak out. Yeah. People rarely even notice, honestly.
It's a
Jersey Mike's tells us. They're like, and it's a beautiful thing. They're like, hey, you raised the price of my club. I'm like, yeah, sorry, it's corporate. That's not true. It's like,
well, a month ago, I started charging 25 extra cents for the cheddar biscuit. I'm like, well, when did this happen?
Right.
Right. But I'm a little price sensitive because we talk about it in almost every manager meeting.
Sure.
And it is. Will they notice what how much is the steak worth? The steak across the street is $48.
Yeah. So it's nice to have that, like corporate. I can kind of blame things on corporate sometimes. Like, if it's something I don't really want to do, but I know I got to do, I was like, yeah, corporate tells us we got to do this or that. You got this third party. But at the end of the day, it's really more about knowing your numbers. Like, you got to get that part right, or we're just wasting our time. And we got to charge what you got to charge, or you don't own the business. You're not working for yourself.
That's a good phrase. You're just working for the landlord. You're just working for your food, for your provider. Yeah.
If you're not making money, right? That's it.
No, that's a good point. So, well, who does the internal bookkeeping, accounting? Yeah. Y'all have that in-house?
Got a great bookkeeper, David Staley, just local guy, lives in Hillsborough. Okay. I think on location 3. So at location 3, I was doing everything. I was doing the QuickBooks poorly. Right. Like, once a quarter if I was lucky. It was bad. Yeah. I was like, and he pitched me at store 3, and I was like, no, I got it. I actually like doing it. And I did. I enjoyed doing it, but each time I did it so infrequently that each time I get in there, it would take me a couple hours to remember, oh yeah, this is how you code this, this is how it's just tough. And so when we opened the 4th location and I was completely overwhelmed, I was like, hey, David, So he does all the books, provides monthly P&Ls for us. And yeah, he's kind of like a CFO. He pitched himself as a CFO in a box.
Okay.
Right. So he does ours and does some other businesses, does all the P&Ls, and he's hired a staff now, but huge partner. If there's, I'm gradually adding a fourth leg, right? So you got the food service, numbers, and then partners, right? So David's your bookkeeper, your commercial real estate agent, your food service guy, which at Jersey Mike's, that relationship didn't really matter. That's been an interesting one. Like Cisco didn't care about me. I was one person in a 3,100 person brand, right? I didn't care. Didn't hear from my Cisco rep ever. US Foods guys constantly bringing by samples, like giving me tickets to Canes games and things like that. Yeah, he cares about that relationship, and he's been a great partner as we've made changes and tried new products. And so that fourth leg, like having good partners, is really important.
So from Jersey Mike's, are you responsible for finding all your own sourcing, or do they have the meats and cheeses and you find the produce? How does that work?
Yeah, they've negotiated almost everything. So they got a whole supply chain team, and they've negotiated everything with Cisco. Yeah, so we get almost everything from Cisco. Okay. Yeah. We used to get produce locally, and we just found we would supplement it with the Cisco stuff, and it was like the same. It was actually like the same brand and everything. Brand,
just a lot cheaper from Cisco. Yeah.
Because I mean, like we're serving iceberg lettuce, and 90% of iceberg lettuce comes from Arizona. It's in the same valley, like the Yucca Valley or something like that. That's where it all comes from. So when it's crap from everybody. When it's good from everyone. It's light or heavy. It's no matter where you get it, the iceberg's kind of the same. It's coming from the same spot. And yeah, that's, I don't have a ton of, for better or worse, I don't have a ton of control over products. They negotiated at the top level, and we ordered it at the bottom level. So.
And then, so what about the meat for the burgers at Al's? Does that change? Do you do taste tests? How does that work?
Yeah, we've done a bunch of taste tests. We've changed it a few times. I've tried some different things, and we're doing so much volume. We're hand pattying everything. We went to a pre pattied one for a while. Maybe a month. And I just didn't like it. I had a couple of burgers. I was like, it's different. The mouth feels different.
Yeah,
they're just kind of, it was too tight. It's just too tight. So we went back to the hand patty. So we have changed it a few times, trying to improve either quality and taste or efficiency, like productivity. So because we're on a busy game day, we might have to hand patty 700 burger patties. It's so much labor. But on the flip side, pretty much anybody can do it. You can train pretty much anybody to do it.
Yeah.
Cutting board, and we've got a little ring, and we weigh out the 6 ounces, put it in there, work it, but not work it too much. You want to work it just enough.
Right.
You don't want to be too tight or too loose. You don't want lumps falling off of it. So, that's a big part of that. I don't know. And back to the marketing, I don't know if anyone cares about that.
Yeah.
Do people care that it's hand pattied?
I don't know. Is that maybe that's going to creep into your slogan, right?
Yeah, we do. We talk about it, but then I don't want to talk about it too much, because what if we switch to pucks? What I mean? It's like, that's the thing. I think for what we were talking about earlier, the fresh fries, figuring out, I was like, what truly is, what are the hooks that people care about that we can talk about, that we're never going to change, because it's a big part of who we are and what we do. We do try different pieces. We've tried all the YUs and the local stuff versus the more commercial stuff, and the different grinds. It's amazing. I've learned a lot about beef and French fries. It's amazing. Fries, tots, and sweet potato fries. I didn't learn about burn off until we started
burn off.
So burn off. So like a French fry, 30% of the weight cooks out.
Okay. Out of water,
it just boils out.
Right.
And I had no idea. I thought they'd get heavier. When you cooked them. That was just my perception. There's so much oil. It's like they're soaking up oil. They don't but they don't soak up oil. They
all that hissing is water boiling out.
Yeah. So then, but you're talking about pricing stuff, and we can sell this, 10 ounces of fries for X price. Then you're like, you're selling 7 ounces of fries.
Right.
Or vice versa. We can sell 7 ounces of fries for this, and you're like, no,
but you bought 10 ounces.
We bought 10 ounces exactly. So and sweet potato fries, even worse. You lose like 40% because there's no moisture in them. So,
and they're hard to get crispy.
Yes. Yeah.
So last question, super niche question. But I assume you must have been approached by UNC Athletics or I don't know others. What is it? What is that sort of opportunity look like going into a football stadium or a baseball stadium or something like that?
Sure. We talking NIL or just UNC?
No, just like if whoever runs the concessions at Kenan Stadium, if they could, because there's a Merits there,
right.
So I guess it's not all under one corporate umbrella.
Yeah,
what does that partnership look like? What control do you have to give up to open a store there?
Yeah, so it's a partnership with Aramark. Aramark runs all the concessions, all the food, and we sold subs in Kenan and the Dean Dome for about 6 years. We had a 6-year partnership. So you have to first of all, you have to have a marketing partnership, and that's like $25,000 a year. But you get marketing out of that. Once you have that, then you can sell concessions. And the problem with it is they would take 35%. Aramark. You could charge whatever you want, but they would take 35% of it. They didn't pay you for anything you didn't sell. So we were making a lot of subs and sometimes wouldn't sell half of them.
So you would pre-make subs, take them over, sell them for whatever you want?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we make turkey subs, put them in coolers, deliver the coolers. They would take them out of the cooler, put it in a bag with a bag of chips and sell it.
Okay.
So there was no like labor involved at the stadiums. They have volunteers, like volunteer organizations will get paid to run concession stands. So that was nice. Like that part of the labor was taken care of. But Aramark would take, I think actually with that, because you donated an extra part if they did the actual work. So maybe it's 40% you're giving up off the top. But the moment was we were like, all right, it's a break even, it's fine. But there was an NC State football game where we made 600 subs and sold 170 of them. Because it rained, just poured rain. It was a late November game. Team wasn't that good. Right. Poured rain. Nobody's getting a turkey sub at Kenan. I was like, we threw away over 400 sandwiches. Hopefully they gave some away. Hope so. But we didn't get paid anything for them. So anyway, that was that partnership. I think I do think there's value there. I think it's I think it's more just branding though. Like I don't know that will drive any actual traffic to your location. I like to see it. I think it's sometimes I call it ego marketing or just overall branding, which you have to do at some point, but it's hard to measure, really hard to measure.
Well, I wonder about the revenue opportunity because you have captive audience, you have a starving crowd, but then if it's a downpour and it's a blowout, then you're not gonna capture anything.
Yeah. So it was that like wasted product. Maybe I could have negotiated a better agreement and gotten something for the subs, but I didn't. I didn't even try really. Yeah. And then it's just kind of, you're pushing resources, right? So it's either me or another resource that we're pulling out of a sub shop or out of a shack and sending them there, and like, is it even a profitable endeavor in any way? Right. I don't know.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, man. Really appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening today to the Restaurant Incubator and my interview with Charlie Farris. Please take a second right now. Give us 5 stars on Apple. Give us 5 stars on Spotify. You would be surprised how much your rating helps an underdog podcast like ours cut through the noise and reach the people that need to hear this information to help them open their own restaurant without wasting time or money. Stay humble, stay hungry, y'all.